Hey there folks, welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today I am finally going to be talking about the newest album from Angel Olsen called My Woman. So I've been taking stock of the music that I've enjoyed thus far this year, and there's one big trend that's starting to emerge. Women on the fringes of country and folk putting out some absolutely excellent albums. Sometimes they're a little bit more pop, like Jennifer Nettles. Sometimes they're a little bit more rock or towards mainstream country, like Brandy Clark or Lydia Loveless. But between Case Langevers, Dory Freeman, and Laurie McKenna, it's starting to coalesce into more of a trend, especially this summer. In other words, given the frankly startling amount of critical acclaim going her way, I was gonna check out the newest album from Angel Olsen. Longtime fans of this channel will remember that I covered her 2014 album Burn Your Fire for No Witness, and that I didn't really care all that much for it. It wasn't because of the content, don't get me wrong. Olsen is a strong songwriter with a good penchant for capturing the emotional subtleties in her tunes, and a lot of the rougher production could have been a good compliment for that, but her biggest strength is by far her voice, and that record chose to smother her in lo-fi fuzz that didn't flatter her subject matter or delivery. What could have been a potent torch song album instead guttered into something that I wish I had remembered better. So when I heard that Angel Olsen was releasing a more open-ended, a little bit more experimental album that was jumping across styles, and was one of her most critically acclaimed to date, I was definitely on board. Hell, I've always wanted to like her music more, but I've been waiting for her to find the right sound to balance against it. So, with My Woman, did she find that? Well, here's the thing. I completely get why this album is getting so much critical acclaim for some critics as Angel Olsen's best album to date. On which, yeah, I would agree with that, but most notably, this is coming from critics who only dip their toes into the indie country scene, if that. Cause what I'm seeing more here than ever is a case of an act being praised for defying genre and breaking into a new sound, and I'm sitting back here acutely aware of all the indie country artists who have not only used a lot of this same sound recently, but who've also done it significantly better. And look, even though I still like this sound, I'm gonna recommend this album. It's a good record. The fact that so many have gone so crazy over Angel Olsen while ignoring the other artists who've been using the sound for a couple of years now does kind of annoy me, especially when she's really not doing it that much better, or even doing it better at all. So to preface this, I think it's important to describe what Angel Olsen is doing right here, especially in comparison with her previous albums. For starters, producer Justin Raisin finally understood that Angel Olsen's old-fashioned but powerful vocal delivery is the best asset that she's ever had, capable of conveying plenty of potent emotion without any assistance. So he did the obvious. He gave her vocals plenty of room to breathe and really fill up these songs, where you can catch every shift and moment of subtlety. And make no mistake, she is one hell of an expressive singer. I'm not always a fan of how her voice can elongate and stretch over certain notes and words, but for the sort of emotionally reckless music that this is, it definitely works. I get a lot of pathos from this album, and as such, the instrumentation is often given the space to reflect that more organic emotional swell, from the more aggressive grooves that kick into the back of Give It Up to how the mingled grief and anger are driven off the subtle bass scalp to curdle and flex and Not Gonna Kill You. Although, I'd argue it plays out best on Sister, which builds off the distant, smoky guitars to stabilize what I'd argue is the best melody on this album, especially when backed up by the ghostly tide of backing vocals and a killer guitar solo. It's one of the two songs on this album that goes over 7 minutes, and it's arguably the better one in how that song expands. Even songs like Those Were the Days, which treads towards slow jazz with the glittering organ and the bass lines, can build off those ragged, dusty guitars and drums. And yeah, it's got that vintage touch that's tasteful and potent in all the right ways, and it's a sound that nearly everyone in indie country has been hearing since at least 2012. Look, there's no way around this. I can appreciate Angel Olsen might bring a little bit more ragged garage rock guitar through on songs like Sister or Shut Up, Kiss Me, although I still wish that she let some of the tones spark with a little bit more fire. They always feel a tad too distant in the mix for immediate impact, especially on Never Be Mine, but those are familiar textures and tones that she's using here. The most immediate comparison is Lindy Ortega, and while I didn't love her last two records, including last year's Faded Gloryville, she still has a firmer grasp on this vintage, traditional, country, jazz touch rockabilly sound, especially on albums like Cigarettes and Truck Stops. And what's alarming is that she's far from the only one who's tapping into this. Whitney Rose, Tammy Nielsen, Margaret Price, and Cheryl Desiree are more on the countryside. Dory Freeman if you want to play more to the folk angle. Hell, even though Casey Musgraves opt for more rounded and warm tones, on a compositional level in the melodies, Angel Olsen's not that far removed. I could easily go on here, but what it highlights is that outside of a bit more reverb and muted sizzle, nothing that Angel Olsen here is surprising me, especially in a lot of the production and instrumentation. Even the stately touches of synth on Intern, it's not a bad track, but not one that really connects for me on a deeper level. But I'd argue that Lydia Loveless did this better on Real less than a month ago. And here's where we get to content, and where I find myself even more frustrated. Most because if I wanted a 10-song album of complicated, fracturing relationship songs on the outskirts of country music, Real by Lydia Loveless was dropped around a month ago, remains one of the best records of 2016, and frankly just hits me so much harder. Just like when she released Somewhere Else right around the time in 2014 when Angel Olsen released Burn Your Fire for No Witness. Kind of coincidental there. And that's not saying that Angel Olsen's writing is bad. Far from it. The songs are tastefully framed and don't shy away from relationships and all kinds of disrepair, from the moments of love that go unrequited on Woman and Never Be Mine, to the songs where she's trying to hold it together despite being betrayed or lied to by her partner, like on Shut Up Kiss Me or Give It Up, or even the disinterest on Those Were the Days, where he says that he loves her and yet she's gonna hold on to the words in absence of more of the feeling. That's some powerful, emotionally compelling stuff. I will give her that. Or take Not Gonna Kill You, where she's just hoping this guy's conscience will kick in to get him home and save the relationship, and Pops plays the breakup in real time as he dumps her, and Angel Olsen's teary-eyed delivery absolutely kills it. Even if I do wish the song had not been for lo-fi pickups in the vocals and instead kept it a little bit more intimate. But the detail that bugs me about a lot of the writing on this album, and why Lydia Loveless takes the edge consistently, is that more often than not, Angel Olsen feels like a captive of her own emotions and frustrations, not really able to take the agency to stand up for herself and push forward. She even admits that this guy will be in her heart forever regardless of what he does on Give It Up. And yeah, I know that's realistic, but with Lydia Loveless, the difference comes in knowing that she has the choice and options, which intensifies all that instability and makes the emotional dynamics have more of an edge when she doesn't make a choice. And overall, that feels more realistic and frankly more interesting in these situations. And you know, that's not saying that Angel Olsen doesn't occasionally go in that direction too, with the best example being the breakup song Heart-Shaped Face. Even though she's not the type to leave her past behind, you can tell that in the production, she knows that this guy's choice to use her to either dig up past loves in order to bring back that memory or to erase the memories shows a refusal to get on from the past that she needs to end for her own benefit, even if it's the last thing that she wants to do because she does indeed love him. That's some powerful stuff. But look, My Woman is definitely a good album, probably one of Angel Olsen's best, and it's definitely one that plays to her strengths as a singer-songwriter, one of the few. But for me, it's just shy of a great album, and not just because of the composition. The writing and delivery only connect more deeply in spots for me, and not completely blown away by a lot of the production, which, just like on Burn Your Fire for No Witness, can feel oddly distancing at points, and again, not all that revolutionary. Again though, a lot of this music is very much up my alley, which means it's getting a solid 7 out of 10 for me and a recommendation. But it also means that I've heard this song done plenty before and I've heard it done better. Still, it's a fine album if you're a fan of any of the artists that I've mentioned throughout this review. And even if you're not, this is still Angel Olsen's best album, and that's worth a listen. So yeah, go ahead, check this out. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. Given how critically acclaimed this album is, I can imagine it might spark up a little bit of controversy, so I got the poll up here, so if you all want to tell me I'm wrong, there's your opportunity. Until then, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, or any other albums coming out that you want me to take a look at, I will try to give them a listen. As I said, my weekend's gonna be pretty damn busy. But till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I will see you next time.